Okay, we can start now. Thank you for joining us, and thank you all the panel speakers. My name is Dan. I'm the founder for Hattie Education. I'm also the WeChat volunteer parent group for all the cow parents. So today we're gonna start with having all the panel speakers introduce yourself first, and then I will introduce my company a little bit, and then we'll start asking the panel speaker a few questions. So we'll start, Aurelia, and what we can talk about is your name, your class, your major, and using one word to describe your Berkeley life. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Aurelia. I'm currently a junior, so class of 2026. I'm currently majoring in EECS and business. And EECS, like the long name, is like electrical engineering computer science. If you don't know, it's something we call it here at Berkeley. And I guess one word to describe Berkeley for me would definitely be unforgettable.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Felix.
Hi, my name is Felix. I'm class of 2028, so I am a new freshman here. My plan is to major in economics with a minor in data science. And one word that I had used to describe my Berkeley experience so far is probably refreshing.
Wow, lovely. Okay, Alex.
Hi, yes. My name is Alex. I'm currently a junior, but I'm graduating 1 year early. So I'm graduating this semester, 2026, and I'm studying chemistry in the College of Chemistry. If I were to describe college experience, the entire 3 years in one word, it'd probably be pretty engaging.
Lovely. Cody.
Hello, my name is Cody Riley. I'm a junior as well, class of 2026, majoring in business administration. And one word to describe my experience here would be fulfilling.
Lovely. Liam.
Yes, I'm Liam. I'm a senior. I study computer science and math. And one word I use to describe my college experience is chaotic.
Okay, that's good. And Liz.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz. I graduated a while ago in 2019. I'm now a second year at Duke Medical School. I majored in integrative biology at UC Berkeley, and one word I would use to describe my experience at UC Berkeley is probably enlightening. The motto for UC Berkeley is "Let there be light," and I definitely learned a lot at UC Berkeley, and I'd say that formed the foundation of what I use in medical school today.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, so I will have a very quick introduction. My name's Dan. Here's my LinkedIn. Okay, and then go on to the company. And you guys can Google Hattie Education. And the registered address is in San Diego. And right now I live at Berkeley, very close to UC Berkeley. Here's our Google review. Since two of the students are Cal Bears are coaching for high school or college students, so I'll very briefly introduce their course. One is Coach Alex, and he coaches for CAM competition and AP CAM, various courses, CAM and bio related. And the other one is Coach Liam, mainly for college students and to figure out a path either in computer science or math. And since it's Berkeley related, we have a summer program at UC Berkeley. And Liam and one of the other Berkeley students will be TA. And it's very detailed syllabus here. So, okay. So I will stop share and we'll get to the agenda. First thing the parents, they think about Berkeley and East Bay and Oakland is safety. So I will ask our female students regarding the safety. I'll start from Liz. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was actually a little worried about that too, and so were my parents when I was going to UC Berkeley. And UC Berkeley was way safer than I thought. Part of it being it's a contained little college town, so the campus and everything around it is very much like all part, it feels like it's all part of a college area. I lived at Unit 2, which is one of the on campus or right near campus student housings. And it was not very far from the school at all, which is really convenient. And most of the time, there's always people around, which I think makes it really safe. There's always other students around, and I think if you avoid going out really late at night without a buddy, then there really is no issue. I didn't have any close calls or any scares like that. As long as I like was careful. And I don't think I actually heard from anybody that they had any issues, like at least within like my circle at Berkeley. So I think if you take the same precautions that you would in any other like city, then it's pretty much just like that.
That's great. Thank you. Anything to add, Felix and Aurelia?
I honestly think like Liz covered a really good amount of it. I definitely agree that like it's actually much safer than people make it out to be. And also now that like there's just so many students around at any time of day. And of course, like the later it gets, the possibly more dangerous it will be. But as long as you have a buddy or like friends that you're hanging out with, it's all very lively. There's very minimal risk. I usually carry around like pepper spray with me, like just in case. I did get robbed. But it was just like it was on campus. There really wasn't anything that I could do because I accidentally left my backpack just like sitting out in the open, so don't do that. Um, but in terms of safety, it's really safe. I've never heard of people like getting like harassed or attacked or anything like that. I haven't experienced that myself. So again, as Liz said, just take any precaution that you would normally and you'll be fine.
Okay. And Aurelia?
I agree. I also have not heard such stories. But I will say that Berkeley also has like great programs to help you walk home, even if you don't have a buddy. There's like Bear Walk, so they'll like designate a student to come walk with you, which is really helpful, especially at night. And yeah, I think like definitely some parts of Berkeley are a bit more dangerous. If you really, really want to be safe, I would say like living on North Side after you get out of the dorms is a really great option. Downtown is a little more dangerous, but I would say in general, like they said, if you're really aware of your surroundings, like yeah, I never had any issues with anything like that.
Okay, that's great. Hopefully, parents are listening, and there's a lot of perceptions about the college, the safety. Okay, that's very good. And the second question is about cutthroat. Everybody hear about Berkeley online. It's like everything's so competitive and cutthroat. So I'll give the microphone to Alex, and you are graduating, and you can graduate within 3 years. So you must have got the courses on opportunities you have obtained. So go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I would say I'm kind of a special case. So I got pretty lucky with the opportunities I got. Um, I did well in my classes and built good relationships with the graduate students that led the discussions. And that was mainly through like how I got my opportunities. But I would say it is quite cutthroat. There's a whopping 40,000-ish students at Berkeley. If you walk along like the main roads, like during the day, there's always so many students. Sometimes during classes, a sea of heads, right? And all these people, they're trying to compete for the same positions and roles as you. So you do have to work hard. You do have to. It is very cutthroat, but if you put in the work, and with a little bit of luck, you'll succeed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And Cody?
Yes. Well, I would agree. But I feel like cutthroat, I mean, any top university, you're probably going to get some of the same vibes. One thing that really helped for me was getting in the club scene, and in the clubs, like I feel like a lot of people are very willing to support you, give you a lot of resources, and you get to kind of bypass some of that, like, people hiding information to get ahead. I don't really see that much within clubs.
Okay, that's great. And Liam?
I actually personally disagree. I wouldn't like describe Berkeley as cutthroat. So I agree that you have to work hard to get what you might want to get, but I think cutthroat, that word like implies that people are actively trying to sabotage you, or people use like, you know, the Google definition, ruthless measures to, get ahead. But I personally have experienced that all my classmates are very willing to help. Nobody, like aside from a very few amount of people, nobody really hides information, and pretty much everybody is open with what they did to get places and how you can try to emulate what they did. I think the issue at Berkeley in particular lies in the fact that there are 40,000 students, and as a public institution, there's just not enough spots in research labs or internships, whatever, to support that many people. But I would call that an issue of like supply and demand, not the fact that students at Berkeley are more like, conniving than any other institution. But
Okay.
I agree. It's like, getting like opportunities here requires effort and requires, proactiveness on the end of the student. It's not handed to you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, so next questions regarding is also related. It's about registration of the classes of your choice. So Liz, I know you got into medical school, but did you have any challenge getting your classes registered here at UC Berkeley?
Yeah, so UC Berkeley's registration is very interesting. It is a little bit of first come, first serve. Whenever you get that time slot for registering for class, you have to be there like at time on time and you better be spamming that button. But that being said, the classes will fill up, especially for those early classes that you need for pre-med because everybody and their mother is pre-med at the beginning of or at the beginning of undergrad. So they will fill up. But the issue is that people will start dropping out fast. And so that kind of opens up spots in the class. So you just kind of have to be persistent and like stick with it, even if you are on the wait list for a class. Just you can still attend that class up to a certain point, I believe, up to like certain capacity. So you can still like just wait and sort of get your way into the class. It just takes a little bit more persistence, I think, to get into classes at Berkeley if you don't get in it initially. But it will happen because people do drop out of these like science classes very quickly. I think if you're like persistent and patient, you won't have a problem with it, but it is a bit more of a stressful process than it should be. Like you're not necessarily guaranteed to be registered right away.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. And Felix, I know you are also a student from LNS, and it's the largest college. So please share your experience as a freshman.
Yeah, so as a freshman first semester, I was really lucky to be part of I think the first semester program for freshmen, FPF program. So they actually had like a lot of exclusive classes, smaller classes, which would help me fill out my prereqs faster. So I could kind of like be guaranteed a spot in those classes. But I was also really lucky to have a really good enrollment time, first semester. So I was able to really just nail down all my classes really early and just get that kind of like solid start. Second semester was quite the opposite. I had a really bad enrollment time. I was literally like on the second day and in the evening. So I was waitlisted for a lot of my classes, but again, like Liz said, you just have to keep attending the classes and just really just go to discussions, go to lectures, talk to your GSIs and your professors, and then maybe they'll make an exception. But again, there is a cutoff where you get dropped from the wait list if there's just not enough room. I will say that even if you don't get into your like top choices for your classes, there is always the matter of breadth because you do have to take a number of breadth courses to graduate or even be a student at UC Berkeley. So you can always go and take those instead and maybe wait next semester when you possibly have a better enrollment time or more priority to get the classes that you really want.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I know there are some hot major people are interested, and all three of you, I think the CS or ECS and CS and the business. Maybe Liam can quickly comment on that, and also you're doubling major. So what's your experience, Liam?
So for getting courses, some of the CS courses were like more difficult yet, I'd say, in particular. Machine learning algorithms were hard to get into. The course sizes definitely vary from course to course, with some of the larger ones being maybe around 700 students, but nowadays maybe around 300 students, and the lower ones maybe around like 80 to 100. I think in your first 2 years, you'll probably have like difficulty, or you may feel some uncertainty about whether you actually get into the course. And the process for this is You just have to like keep attending class for a few weeks until either the course expands, like meaning the professors decide to take on more students, or a percentage of the students drop. Otherwise, you just won't be able to get into the course. For mathematics, there's not really any issues, I would say. I think you will have to be diligent about actually registering on time. So you should check your Cal Central and check the time and register almost immediately, because those will be like the good professors for mathematics will be filling up, especially for the upper division courses. But I would say as you become a third and fourth year, your ability to like get the courses you want drastically improves, and there's not really any issues.
Okay, that's great. And Cody, we'll have a question about your transition to Haas, but overall, what's your experience for business classes?
Yeah, well, I know they switched the Haas program to like 4 years, but with the 2-year thing, I had to kind of go towards economics and business because you don't know if you're going to get into Haas yet. But the good thing is they kind of like know that, so they make it pretty similar. It is, like they said, a little difficult to get in, especially during the first 2 years. Freshman, sophomore year, I definitely had a lot of difficulties getting the classes I needed. Now it's not really much of a problem since I'm taking upper divisions. So junior year, it becomes much less of an issue. But I will say that there usually are alternate courses that work as well. Sometimes the reason they don't fill up is because they're more difficult than the easier one. But if you absolutely need to take the class and can't wait another semester, that's definitely an option.
Okay, that's great. And Aurelia, are you in MET? Oh, okay. Wow, this is very tough. So how about your experience?
MET has priority registration, so I've never had an issue with class registration.
Okay, lucky girl. Okay, and Alex, your College of Chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, the LNS has the most people, right? The most students, so they're all competing for like the spots. Seniors get priority on their selection, and then to junior to sophomore to freshman. I'm not sure if the colleges themselves have differing times. I think College of Chemistry itself, I've been pretty lucky, I would say, with the enrollment times. My lower division courses have all reserved seats, so there's no problem getting those. I also did something unorthodox, was to enroll in the upper division courses my first 2 years here.
Wow.
And then enroll in like the lower division courses next. Some classes allow that even though there's like prerequisites. But I think the College of Chemistry is very different though compared to a lot of other majors.
Okay, okay. And you are able to graduate within 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. No problem with the enrollments.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Okay. So a little bit of academic, I'll move to a different topic. Housing. UC Berkeley has a little bit of different housing arrangement than most other schools. A lot of schools have 4-year private schools. Some schools have 2-year guaranteed dorm. UC Berkeley is only 1 year. So I'll probably start with Felix, and which dorm are you in right now?
I'm in Unit 3.
Ah, okay. And how do you like it? I mean, honestly, right? We are being all candid here. That's fine.
It's very eventful. I will say that. It's tons of things are happening all the time, both good and bad. Things are breaking down. Things are being fixed. We didn't really have like a ceiling in our lobby the first semester because they're like fixing some stuff. They're giving us new lights, which are really pretty now. But in the first semester, it was a little silly to just look up and just see wires and stuff. But it's definitely eventful. The people at Unit 3, I would say, are pretty social. You can pretty much just like go up to anyone, say hi, and like, hey, like which building are you in? What floor are you on? Like, oh my God, you're in the room like literally right above mine. That happened with me and one of my friends. And so everyone is just like super social. You're all like almost like suffering together, even though it is pretty good, but lots of things are happening. Most floors are pretty social, I have found. There are some floors that are like, doors are closed all the time, but the floor mates do get to know each other because, you guys are living together for the entire year. I will say for your second year, you do have options of living on the on-campus apartments rather than the dorms. And I did get an offer for one of the apartments. I did turn it down because I already have an apartment set up with a new roommate for next year. But there are so many housing options both in and out of Berkeley's campus, and there's a lot of freedom regarding that. So housing is eventful, but I would say it's not really like a huge like horrible like mess or whatever. I really love the housing situation at Berkeley.
Okay, that it's a very good perspective, the flexibility. I love it. Okay, so Liz, after how many years you live in the dorm? Assume 1 year, and then where did you move after that?
Yeah, so I lived in Unit 2, which is the like student provided housing for year 1, and then
Mhm.
afterwards they have you move out. So I connected with 2 other students, and we found a place that was actually just like 2 blocks further down the street from Unit 2. And we just moved in there. It was just like a apartment, and we shared like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment.
And you lived there for 3 years.
Yeah, and I stayed there for all 3 years. I don't like moving. I think it's a hassle, so I
Yeah.
just stayed there.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so I know Liam has been living in co-op, and what's your experience about co-op?
Okay, so the co-ops are a collection of houses, like I guess governed by the Berkeley Student Cooperative. Generally they have about 20 to, at the biggest, 100 students live in each co-op. Students typically live in like, either a single or like a double, meaning 1 or 2 people per room. The, I guess, idea of this is that every student will have to do chores for about roughly 5 hours a week, but housing is affordable. In most houses, you are provided dinner every night, since some students' chores are to like make dinner. And generally it's a pretty, I guess, community living type situation. I personally like it.
Okay, that's great. So out of all the other students, who is living sorority or fraternity? Alex, Cody, or Aurelia? No. So you guys all living in apartment or like student housing? Who lives in South Campus? Who lives in North Campus? Alex?
I'm in the South.
Okay, you like the South?
Yeah, I mean it's closer to the RSF, the gym. So
Okay.
I go there quite often to play volleyball, to work out. There's a lot of restaurants nearby as well, so it's nice. I think one of the reasons I chose the South Side was just because it's closer to friends and all these places. North Side is quieter, safer, but less commotion.
Okay, that's great. Okay, yeah, one thing I think some parents are listening. Parents sometimes concerned about UC Berkeley housing. I would say please don't worry about it. And then I think the students themselves will make friends and they will decide whom to room with. So say Liz, you decide to room with 2 other students, and that's you can rent a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment. And some students I know there's 7 of them and you want to rent a bigger house. So I don't think parents need to worry too much about it, right? Do you guys agree? Yeah, and I don't think parents should go look for housing for the students, right? So who parents look for the housing for all of you? I mean, Felix, did you have housing yet, Felix?
Yeah, I have housing. I have an apartment.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. You guys all found the housing yourself, right? Yeah. Okay, that's what my whole point is. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the difficulty of Berkeley school, like Berkeley life. So Aurelia, and you are in like MET, very competitive. Do you have time to play during the week?
I wouldn't say too much time. I think if I'm not like working on classes, I'm like working on my clubs or like recruiting. Now that like life is starting to die down and starting to go into the summer, I have a bit more time. So I'm like attending more like social events and trying to socialize a bit more. But yeah, I can't say I have like too much time to do what I want.
Yeah, I mean, MET is tough. Okay, so pre-med. So right now, there's a lot of students because the CS, people don't think like the job prospects is pretty good because the AI is coming in. So everybody's like trying to get into pre-med. So what's your experience as a pre-med student at UC Berkeley? Did you have time to play?
So I think that the way that pre-med's structured, and in general and at UC Berkeley is that there are all these prerequisites that you do in the first 2 years, like Chem 1A, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and these are what they call like your prereqs or your weeder classes. This is where you go in with tons and tons of people, and they essentially go hard on you for those first like 2 years essentially. And they were weeder classes because they essentially weed people out. And I think that's like the hardest point at which a lot of people start dropping out. I've made it all the way to medical school, and we are left with a fraction of people who started who are interested in pre-med. So I think it takes hard work. I think that I spent a lot of my time studying, but I had a very like strict time management schedule where I only studied on weekdays and I gave myself the weekends. And I think that's really important because if you don't set limits or you don't like manage your time like that, you can study forever. And I don't think that's healthy. So I think it takes good time management, but it is absolutely very doable. And those are skills that you absolutely should learn because it's medical school. Like the work is always going to be never ending. So you have to figure out like what like your values are and how to use your time. And so like that begins early. So is it doable? Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you can survive UC Berkeley, if you can like do that at UC Berkeley, you will learn so much. Like I think that I learned so much to the point where medical school is easier for me than undergrad was. And I think that's not necessarily the case for a lot of people who hit medical school, but I feel so prepared. And I'm so glad I did it at UC Berkeley because I really do think I'm having a much easier time in medical school because of it.
Wow, that's great. Okay, thank you, Liz. And Alex, 3 years out of college, did you get a chance to hang out with, have some fun?
Surprisingly, yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, quite a bit actually. Because I think I'm a pretty fast worker. Okay, so here's my story, right? I was also originally pre-med. I came into Berkeley planning to do a PhD. I took MCB 102, I think the biochemistry course, my second semester here. I did well in it, so then I was like, okay, why not give pre-med a try? So I gave pre-med a try. I took the MCAT, and then this last summer I actually applied to MD PhD programs, but unfortunately didn't get into many or didn't get into any at all, right? So my plan is to work for 1 or 2 years as a research position and then apply to PhD programs.
Mhm.
But the moral of the story is, I think it all starts from just having a good balance. Like my first, I think, semester or two here, I fooled around a bit too much. I didn't care much about school, so I got to hang out with friends a lot. My second year, I studied too hard. I think I worked too hard, like studying 14 hours a day. That was also pretty unhealthy, like Liz said, right? Um, yeah, and then my third year here is my final year. I think I have a better grasp on the type of lifestyle that I want to live. I think every person has their own lifestyle habits, you know, how much they want to play, how much they want to work, but always try to keep it in balance.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. You still have time to tutor our students.
No, it's all right. Yeah, my timing is pretty flexible. Like my course load was pretty heavy because you know three years, lots of classes. Every semester it was like 8 a.m.s, 9:30 a.m.s every single day. Um, to be quite frank, I wasn't the best student. I don't go to class much, but uh, it's still a good just lesson to you know work hard, but also fast. Yeah, so that you have more time for yourself.
Okay, that's great. Obviously, you have time to work out, right?
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very good, very good. Okay, and how about Cody?
Yeah, well, as a single major, no minor in business administration, maybe this speaks a little bit to levels of difficulty, but I kind of have a lot of free time to be honest with you. First 2 years were a little bit of a grind because I mean you're doing prereqs. I kind of feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the first 2 years are a little bit more difficult across most majors. But now I'm like, I have a lot of free time. There's, times where I have to go to the library and study for a while, especially before a midterm, especially before a final, grind for like a week. But on the day to day, I don't feel very stressed.
Oh, that's great. Very good, very good. Okay, everybody want to go to Haas now. We'll ask you about how to get to Haas. Okay, that's great. And so Liam, you're double major, CS and math, and please share your experience.
Yeah, so my personal experience, I always have been choosing to make my life harder at Berkeley by like taking hard classes. And my first semester I was taking upper divs, second semester all upper divs. So I think that was a personal choice. So I didn't have as much time to play as some of my other friends or other people I knew, but I certainly had some time. I was never spending all day studying, but I would say pretty much most weekends or almost every weekend, at least 3/4 of the weekend is studying usually. Though I will say that both the math and computer science majors are very light majors in the sense of there are very, very few requirements to actually complete. So depending on what your goals are, like mine is, I had like my goals had changed throughout college. At first I wanted to like go into like the finance industry. Then I wanted to do a PhD in computer science. And now I'm trying to like I think I've settled for now to do a PhD in pure math. But I think if you want to graduate and look for some kind of like software engineering job, the things you have to do for that are like vastly different than the things that you'll have to do if you want to go to a PhD program. I would say in general, if your goal is to do a PhD program, your life here will be much harder than if you want to go work after, because the only requirements essentially are you need to graduate, which in the CS major, there are like I think 5 to 6 required upper division classes, plus maybe another like 5 to 6 lower division classes. That's 11 classes. You have 8 semesters. Divide that. Roughly. 2 classes a semester in the CS major like will take you to graduation, possibly even in 3 years. But if you want to go work as a software engineer, just graduate, keep an okay GPA, and you'll have to do things outside of class, like practice interview prep. Doing that and applying to companies, during the summer and fall are typically the most important. But I'd say your life will consist of a lot less grindy coursework, more outside things like projects, internships, and interview preparation. But generally, I see a lot of the students who are trying to go into software engineering have less stress from the courses themselves, but a bit more stress with looking for a job. If you're trying to do a PhD, you're going to have to, if depending on your goals and interests, if you're a math major, you'll have to be taking a lot of advanced graduate classes, typically up to the second year level of PhD by your undergrad, like by the time you finish your undergrad. And if you're trying to do CS PhD, then you'll have to be doing a lot of research in the laboratory. So depending on your goals, if you're trying to do AI or something, that means a lot of time working on papers, doing experiments. Trying to do theoretical computer science, that means a lot of reading mathematics type papers and taking a lot of high level math, statistics, computer science type courses. So I think say the general distinction is if you want to be a software engineer or go work after, you'll have less stress from courses. There's like more things to do outside of class. And if you want to do a PhD, you'll just have a lot of classwork and exams to stress over.
Okay, thank you, Liam. Liam also coaches students to figure out CS or mass pass, and so he has met quite a few undergraduate students regarding their plan, because he himself has gone through the struggling of the changing major from CS to mass. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. And so now I'm going back to internship. And so Aurelia, and please share your experience since you're third year. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Liam nailed it right on the head. I'm personally not interested in doing graduate school or anything like that, so I'm sure my experience is very different from people who do want to pursue that. And yeah, I agree. I don't place as much emphasis into my coursework, but I do a lot of things outside of class, like clubs, like coding for them, also recruiting, which takes up like a majority of your time. So yeah, I think you have to make that distinction like very clear in the beginning so you know which one to focus on, because it's very hard to do everything at once. But yeah, my general trajectory for internships, I'm recruiting mainly for software engineering. Or yeah, I already have an internship for software engineering at a unicorn this summer. So I think like, oh yeah, recruiting is very tough. Like I think now that the market is so saturated, like there's a lot of energy that goes into it. But I think it's like with anything else, if with enough practice, like it becomes easy. But I think like you shouldn't be fooled and be very chill in your first 2 summers, because leading up to your final junior summer, it takes a lot of work to secure good internships so you can get a good return offer. And it's like a big chain. So I think a lot of people come in and yeah, not like they don't take it as seriously, but my biggest suggestion is to like go right into it. And if you're an incoming freshman, which I'm sure many of you are, there's a lot of great freshman programs that I wish I would have looked into more, like big tech, like Google Step, Uberstar. There's so many great programs that you should definitely explore in your freshman year.
Okay, that's great. And Cody, are you also joining the recruiting part of the? Okay, go ahead, Cody.
Yes. So with business, I'm doing consulting right now. Might look into finance by side later. So I'll add this to my statement earlier. Recruitment for business is early. So I did mine last semester for junior summer. So last semester I was busy. Now I'm not. But yeah, basically going back to the clubs, like they kind of helped me freshman year get into it. So I was able to do some programs, not specific internships, nothing crazy. In my freshman year, freshman summer, I got actually some non-paid internships through a referral from a friend in the club. So I did that. And basically, what you're doing during your freshman, sophomore year is you're getting literally anything to leverage it for the next year. So I used that, leveraged it sophomore year for a consulting program as well as an externship. And now I'm going to be in SF for consulting once again. So yeah, basically just like using program. You don't even need an internship, like obviously freshman year, but like do something. Skydeck is something that I did during the semester freshman year. Thought it was pretty helpful. Look into it sophomore year too. But yeah, just like building blocks for junior summer and then use junior summer as a building block for full time.
That's great. So sounds like what Cody is telling us, one message, recruiting happens earlier. So if you want to get a good intern for the summer, you have to start looking in the fall, like so 9 months to a year earlier. In some quant, I think it's even earlier. Okay, that's good. And Felix, I know you're still a freshman. What's your plan for the summer?
This is actually something that I wanted to mention. So over the summer, I'm actually going to Shanghai. I'm participating in the UCEAP Summer Global Internship Program. And so that's actually a really good way for you to get kind of like really on field like work experience. So I don't quite know what exactly I'm interning with, but the people there are super supportive and they help you match you to companies in wherever you're studying for the summer. This isn't like study abroad for the year. That's something different. But this is just like a summer internship for the summer, about 2 months. And I'm really looking forward to it because I can visit Shanghai, which is somewhere in China I've never been before, and I can also get like real hands-on experience in the workplace.
Okay.
Also like adding on to like looking for internships earlier in the year, there are a lot of career fairs that happen in Berkeley. You can find them on handshake.com. Any Berkeley students that's enrolled, I think, is automatically signed up for that in some way, shape, or form. So that's also definitely a really useful, that's a really useful like sort of resource too.
Okay, that's great. Enjoy your time in Shanghai. Do you speak Mandarin, Felix?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good. That helps. Okay, so now I'm gonna back to three of you, Alex and Liz. I know Liam also has some research experience. So Liz, you want to start? Have you done, I assume you have done research during undergraduate. So go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. Research is really important if you are interested in going to medical school. And I suggest looking early. So what I did was I just cold emailed a bunch of labs that I thought were doing research on subjects that I was interested in. And many of them actually replied and were willing to either meet with me and talk or connect me with a postdoc in their lab who was willing to take on a student. So I felt like the research opportunities were actually pretty accessible to find just because there's a ton of it. Like there is a ton of, we talked about supply and demand before, and there's a ton of research going on at UC Berkeley. We also have the opportunity being at UC Berkeley to do research at UCSF, which is more like medical focused. If that's like something that interests you, you do have to travel to San Francisco for that, however. So I actually did research both at UC Berkeley and at UCSF. I did research in a couple of different labs. I think the best thing to do is probably just finding a lab that you like and sticking with it if like that's something that you can do because longitudinally over time it gives you more chances to produce something from the work that you do. You don't necessarily have to publish to get into medical school unless you are applying for MD, PhD. But it can be helpful to prove that you use that time well and that you are productive. So I would suggest trying to stick with the lab if you can. And doing it over time, like over years, shows commitment as well. Like you don't have to like try to commit like 30 hours a week or something. Your lives are very busy as UC Berkeley students, so I think I did like maybe 9 hours a week of research at best. But you definitely want to do it over time and try to do what you can. So yeah, I think it is really like accessible. Like it's out there. Like the many labs have websites explaining like what they do. There are many students that are in these labs, like contributing and as lab members. So I think the opportunities are definitely out there. It's definitely UC Berkeley's strength, and I would take advantage of that while you're there.
Oh, that's great. So Liz, you're saying the undergraduate research opportunities are pretty abundant.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's UC Berkeley is an amazing research institution. I definitely recommend it.
Wow, that's great. Okay, thank you. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Despite the like vast number of students here, like surprisingly, the number of research opportunities are pretty vast. To all the students and parents, there's no rush, right? Like coming into Berkeley, all the people looking for research, there's this program named like the Undergraduate Research Application or something like URAP. I forgot what it stands for. And I'm sure a lot of people apply for it, right? Trying to find any opportunity they can. And uh people cold email professors, which is good. But what I found success in was just getting to know the GSIs, the graduate student instructors that help with your classes. Because inherently through them, you'll learn through what kind of research they do and what lab they're in. And that's kind of how I got both of my opportunities. I spent a semester in Head Gordon's lab, the husband, not the wife, and he deals with analytical chemistry. I spent a semester in there, and I realized I did not like it much at all. A lot of it was like just times reading a textbook, because at that time I don't think my knowledge was, vast enough to be able to comprehend exactly what was going on in the lab. A lot of physical chemistry, a lot of like quantum stuff. Um, and I transitioned kind of into biochemistry, right? I mentioned how I took a biochemistry course, and through that graduate student, I was able to get the opportunity I am now, where I'm working in the Doudna lab. And just to note that pretty much all of the research opportunities that they give you here are all volunteering. So you don't get paid, right? There's no obligation for you to go. And so it really means a lot for you to find something that you enjoy doing. Because if you join a lab that you don't like what you're doing in, you're not going to commit a lot of hours. And on your resume, it's not going to look that good. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. So you're in the Nobel winner, Jennifer Donna's lab, right?
Yeah,
For
Jennifer
genetic-
Doudna. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yeah. And her mentor actually is our neighbor.
You said her mentor?
Her mentor, yes. Well, my
Oh,
neighbor told me. Yeah, not
oh,
her.
wow.
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but anyway, we can chat offline. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, so CS, I know Liam, you have done CS research. Okay, please,
Yeah.
in the Bear Lab. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I conducted AI research in Bear Lab. So I think there's two main types of people who are looking to do CS research. The first are people who are just looking to try different things out and see what they like, and the second of which are people who come into Berkeley saying, I want to do a PhD program. I need to find research as soon as possible. So I will direct to the second group of people first, because that's where I was looking into. And so then I'll talk about the first group of people. So I think anybody looking to do CS research for the particular purpose of doing a PhD should know that the research direction you do as an undergraduate in particular will definitely have an effect on what you do as a PhD. For example, if you spend 3 years working on AI and robotics in that intersection, the experiences you have and the things you can talk about will most directly relate to AI and robotics PhD programs. So it wouldn't really make much sense if you're looking to contact a professor in, say, computational biology in your PhD if you had spent, your entire undergrad in a lab just solely working on robotics. So in light of that, I would say it's important to look around for lab fit and research interests. So because of that, I personally think that it's okay to move around labs a few times to find the one you actually like. Because I think for CS research or AI research, you might think it's very different as a PhD, but the topics you will work on are going to be similar, especially if you go to a similar PhD program. So I would say it's okay to hop around a few times, but in the end, you should be interested in the lab you stick with, because there is no use staying in a lab that you really don't care about the work they're doing, because it is highly probable that the work you'll be doing as a PhD is going to be very similar in nature, because those are the qualifications you have as an undergraduate. For the first group of students, I think finding research can be difficult, but just a solid tip I would give is that research in the CS department might be harder to get into because people think it's more prestigious or it's very well renowned, but there are a lot of other departments looking for people who are able to utilize computation, like people in the psychology department, economics department, even statistics, a lot of the medical field. UC Berkeley has a new program called Computational Precision Health. So this is a joint program with UCSF where they're using AI tools to deliver like solutions for personalized healthcare. So a lot of students might find that it is easier to get research outside of the CS department rather than in the CS department. Something you should definitely look into, I think Alex or someone said, was the URAP undergraduate research apprenticeship program. So this is primarily directed at first, second, third year students who are looking to try research for the first time. That you can select up to 3 programs to apply to. The second thing I want to give advice is there's a program called DARE. I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's it's like a database for matching CS students to researchers to give research opportunities to students.
Okay.
For math, there isn't really research that you can do as an undergrad. There's summer programs called REUs. Those are pretty difficult to get into. I would say for mathematics, you should take as much coursework as possible and try to get graduate coursework earlier on the earlier side, because that'll make your RU applications stand out.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I promise all 6 speakers, you're all very busy. Liz is in East Coast. So I would ask Liz to talk about the medical school application experience. And did you take a gap year just in general? And how do you like Duke? Mhm.
Yeah, so my experience might be a little bit different just because I was pre-med all through UC Berkeley, and my intention was to apply at the end of senior year at UC Berkeley and then take one gap year to work as a medical assistant before I attended medical school. I ended up not applying at that time because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go to medical school 100%. So I actually took extra gap years where first I actually tried a nursing program. I realized I didn't like it. I quit, and then I worked as a research technician instead, just doing research in an official capacity. I was getting paid, and then while I was working that job, I finally applied to medical school, and then I had a very successful cycle actually. I had 12 interviews. I got into most of those schools, including a full cost of attendance scholarship that I turned down to go to Duke actually, because I love Duke. I was actually, I don't think I mentioned this, but the nursing program I went to was at Duke. I also worked at Duke as a research technician afterwards. Duke is an amazing institution. I think it's everything I was looking for in terms of a medical school, and so I decided to stay on with them. And I think it's really Duke as a medical school, I think is very unique amongst top medical schools in that they really, I think, care about you in a way, and they really take care about you or take care of you. And not only that, it has all the opportunities afforded to somebody who is attending a top medical institution. So yeah, I definitely don't regret my choice, even though I had to take a smaller scholarship to attend Duke. But for me, it was worth it. So yeah, I had a very like long journey, I'd say. It was definitely really tough. I was already ready to apply to medical school at the end of senior year, and I just, put things off for a couple years. But in terms of being ready to apply at the end of undergrad, like I think it was doable. UC Berkeley's tough. It can be very challenging. It gets easier once you get past those first 2 years and you finish all those prereqs. It does get easier. You can use these like tools or like word of mouth to find classes that are easier on you to take. So it's absolutely doable. I think you have to be strategic about it and you have to manage your time well. And you have to be proactive, like Liam said. Like opportunities are not necessarily going to fall in your lap, but they're out there and you just have to find them. And I think you absolutely want to take advantage of the amazing research that goes on at Berkeley. So yeah, I think it takes a bit of proactiveness, it takes a little bit of planning. I would talk to people who have gone through the process at UC Berkeley to try to like get some tips and tricks for that. But like there is absolutely like a way you can be successful despite challenges. And I don't think that's going to be very different even if you don't attend school at UC Berkeley. I think that the path to medical school is hard either way. So I would be prepared. And I think people that make it are resilient, first and foremost. People who are willing to, like undertake that kind of process. And I think also that there is a little bit of an element of luck as well. And there's also the question of like, I think you shouldn't commit too early to this path, and I think you should take the opportunities to explore. Like I was, I doubted myself for a bit and went to a nursing school. I think that you should think about what other opportunities are out there and explore what is there, because it is rewarding, but you have to be committed to it.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, it's a long journey. Congratulations. I love Duke too. It's a beautiful campus.
It is.
Yes, yeah. Next time I come over, I'll take you out for lunch or dinner, okay? I'll
Thank
pay
you.
you. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Liz. And okay, I have one question for Cody. And a lot of students, I mean, Aurelia, you're lucky you got into MET, but Cody, you need to apply. So tell us, like, what is the criterion for a Haas? Like, what are they looking for? Mhm.
Yeah. Well, when I was applying to Haas, it was they look at your, GPA, you submit a resume
Mhm.
that you have to do specifically for Haas. So you can't just use like your normal resume. And you also you have 2 essays, which I would say are extremely important. I treat it like a college essay, if not more important. And there's also these questions that they ask you on like a higher view type of thing. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's like the question shows up, you have like a minute to prepare, you're in front of your screen like this, and then you have 1 minute to record a response. So um not sure how important that part is. It is definitely stressful, but I feel like the essays are the most important. I got a lot of help from people that I know in Haas that read my essays a lot, and I did a lot of drafts because I mean I wanted to get into Haas. Which also another reason for that is because Haas is easier than econ, in my opinion. But besides that, um, yeah, I think other things that are important besides the actual application, things you can do outside of that would be, keep your GPA up, which is easier to do if you're not in STEM, if you're taking these like econ classes, business classes, it's easier to keep a higher GPA. And also campus involvement. I joined some clubs. You know, I didn't do it, but student government, ASUC. I know there's actually a Haas club too. I don't remember what it's called. HBSA. And also, I would probably, hopefully, get in Berkeley Skydeck, something like that. If you can get an internship, that'd be amazing too. Just shows that, you're interested in business, you're already in the field. And yeah, that's about it.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Cody. And right now, the Haas application for high school students is you direct apply. But Cody, there are still some spots for the enrolled Berkeley students, right?
Yeah, so I know that they've been cutting down, like they started cutting down the year before me. So my year was the first year that they made the 2-year program a lot less people.
Okay.
I know that it's still open this year. I helped some of my friends apply, but they made it even harder. I know that I'm pretty sure freshmen right now, like class of 2028, I think they can still do it. So based off that, I would assume that they still have this 2-year transfer, but that's something you guys need to look into.
Yeah, I think very limited. Okay, that's great. Okay, then one more question for Felix about you told, we emailed each other your minor in data science. I know your econ is in LNS and the data science is in CDSS. And is that doable? Do they allow you to cross the college to do the minor?
I actually don't know much about the crossing colleges part, but I do know that the data science minor itself, it's like to declare it, I'm pretty sure I just have to take the basic prereq courses. And luckily for me, a lot of the courses between econ and data science actually overlap. And there are only a certain amount of overlap classes that you can take for minors as well. So overall, I should be able to declare my major and my minor by next spring if all my course choices go well and everything.
Okay, that's very good.
Mhm.
Okay, so
I'm not an expert on the colleges thing though.
okay, I got it. Yeah, I know there's some high school students listening too, so I'm gonna ask each one of you one very simple question, very brief. What do you think that made you tick for UC Berkeley? So why, like one important factor you got into UC Berkeley? Aurelia?
Wait, sorry, is the question like why
Like
we
what,
chose?
yeah, out of all the factors, what do you think the most important factor that you got admitted by Cal?
Oh, what I had, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I will like corroborate by checking my admissions file because I know you can do this for Berkeley. But I think for me, because I got admitted to the MET program, it was that I had a lot of experience in high school in both those fields. So I did a lot of activities in both, and I think like a lot of people just focus on one and try to do one spike, but I think at least that's why for me, yeah.
Very good.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Oh, that's good. The activities. A lot of people have the perception that UC Berkeley only look at the grades. So thanks. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
not at all. I think
Yes.
also like probably the leadership aspect. Sorry, I didn't mention this before, but I had a lot of leadership positions in high school, and I think that's one thing UC Berkeley really, really like likes is what you did as a leader.
Okay, that's great. And Felix?
So I think what really did it for me was how focused my path throughout my entire high school career was. So I'm actually like very focused on like I'm very passionate about environmental conservation and activism. So I had like this history of, science research to protect the ocean, which then turned into a nonprofit to spread awareness about like things that are happening in the ocean. And so all of that, it was simultaneously well-rounded and really focused. And I think colleges really like seeing that passion, that realness. And I think that's what got me in.
Okay, that's great. Alex?
Yeah, like Aurelia and Felix, a lot of leadership positions in the major or that you apply as. I applied as a chemistry major and I got in as a chemistry major. I was like the club captain of the chemistry club, biology club at Berkeley. Oh, not at Berkeley, at my high school. And writing good essays. I think that those are the main factors.
That's great. Thank you, Alex. Cody?
Yeah, I would say similar to a lot of these people, extracurriculars were probably the reason I got in as well. I had started two nonprofits in high school, so I think that helped.
Oh, that's great. And Liam?
I personally, so in high school, I did like a lot of random things. I didn't really have any meaningful leadership activity. I did, however, keep all A's. So I think that was very important. And the second thing was I volunteered for a number of political campaigns as like someone who goes to knocks on doors and, tries to sell the political campaign, a political candidate to random people. However, after my junior summer and during my senior fall, I took a lot of like online math, computer science courses and had listed that in my application. And I did take the highest math courses that were offered at my school, but I wasn't particularly like doing any extracurriculars in math or CS. But
Okay.
grades, I would say very important.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And Les?
Yeah, I think I got into college the old-fashioned way. Things were a little bit different maybe when I applied since I'm a little bit older. And I think more and more these days, schools are looking for a more holistic approach, including medical schools, where they look a little bit less at grades past a certain threshold and look more at who you are and how you can show that through your activities and your essays. So I do think there is an element of that becoming very important. Did I do that? No. However, I got 100th percentile on every standardized test that I've ever taken. So I did it the old-fashioned way. Part of that is also I applied from out of state. So I'm actually a Massachusetts resident, and I got into UC Berkeley from Massachusetts, which is so things are a little bit different. I think they're a little bit more stringent when it comes to academic requirements for people who are coming from out of state. But yeah, I would definitely focus on thinking about like, well, one, you want to keep your grades above to a certain point. Like I wouldn't say like trying to kill yourself getting a 4.0. That's totally not necessary. But you should have good grades. But then beyond that, I think I would explore like how you want to present yourself as a person. Because there is like that very holistic element where they're looking for like how you express who you are, and like how you prove it through your activities. Like you don't just say it, you have to prove it through your actions. And I think that's really
That's great. Thank you, Liz. So I promised all of you that you leave around 6:35. Now it's 6:36. So I know parents would love to hear more things from you guys. And I mean, if some of you can, ask some extra 10 minutes, feel free to stay. But I would definitely let Liz go. You're in East Coast. It's getting really late. And other speakers, you're really busy, you have commitment, feel free to drop off. And I'll see whether, I myself or maybe some of the speakers can take a couple more questions. And is that okay? Yeah, because I promised you I want to.
I can stay for another like 10, 15 minutes if
Oh,
that's
that's
I'm
so.
actually on a spring break from medical school right
Oh,
now. So I'm not in a rush.
okay. Thank you. Yeah, so that's great. So I would open up. You guys answer a lot of questions. I'm not going to read all through the questions. I'm going to open up the floor to the parents and students. Just shout out. Is any questions that you guys have? Is there any questions that we have not answered through the chat?
Yeah, I have a question. Can I
Okay.
ask? Yeah, so hi, Liz. Thank you for introducing yourself as a medical school student. I think my daughter wants to be a pre-med student too. So I'd like to see what's the chance to get into medical school in general, especially straight out of the university.
So, if you're talking about chances like when you're applying, or are you talking about chances like let's say you're a freshman in college? Because I think a lot of people sort of drop out along that path.
A good point. That could be drop out immediately, but
Yeah.
it's true. But if stick to the end, how many?
Yeah, okay. So people who make it to getting people who actually make it to the application process, I think maybe half, 50-50 for people getting into MD school, like people who actually like send in an application. Like those are the overall stats. But not everyone who applies to medical school is qualified to even apply, and so I think that contributes to the very low, like 50% mark. I think that if you prepare yourself well, um, that and you check the marks, like you have like a decent MCAT, you have a decent GPA, you have research, clinical, you did volunteering, and you successfully answer in your personal statement why you want to be a doctor. I think that if you do all those things, you have a pretty good chance, much higher than 50% of getting into a medical school. And part of that is you have to cast a very wide net. So, as like academically strong as I was, I still knew I wasn't a guarantee to get into medical school. I applied to 32 schools.
Wow.
It is a bit of an investment, and I think most people in our shoes will probably apply to over 30 schools. So casting a wide net can help. And I'd be very careful to apply to a wide range of schools. And if you do all those things, you have a very high chance of getting into medical school, I think. I do think that most people will make it either on the first or the second try, and I don't think it's a bad thing to have to do it on your second try. Sometimes people fall through the cracks. It's a very difficult process with very little seats for way too many qualified applicants. So just because you don't make it the first time doesn't mean you're not qualified. I would, take a year, add some things to your application, do it again. I mean, there's somebody in my class who made it to Duke on the third try, so like people can be very successful even if they have to try again. It's just a numbers game. There's just a lot of people and there's very little spots.
Yeah, thank you so
have
much.
a follow-up question for that. Sorry. You mentioned like decent GPA. What I learned from other parents is like GPA at Berkeley is deflated. So when we say decent GPA, can I know how, like, what's the GPA it is?
So I'll put some numbers on that. So for
Okay.
GPA, I would say most of the time they recommend getting a 3.7 or higher. That's an A- average. That can be very hard at Berkeley, and your GPA is probably going to suffer in the first 2 years when you're getting through those prerequisites. However, what you can do is when you get past those prerequisites, you take the upper level classes that have the highest average grade possible, which is what everyone does. So your GPA does recover a little bit as you get past those classes. I would try to get above a 3.7. If you don't get above a 3.7, it's not the end of the world. I would try to nail the MCAT. You can save a lower GPA with a really good MCAT. You cannot do it the other way around. A bad MCAT will kill you on the spot. So I would say like you know, even if that's the case, like still work hard at your classes, learn what you need to do, and do on the MCAT. To put some numbers to that, I would try to get above a 512, ideally hit the 515 mark, because 514 is the average MCAT for Asians who are accepted to medical school.
Wow.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you. This is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. And there are a couple questions. Do you need to be enrolled, declared pre-med, and also are those classes in letter science college? Liz, you're popular. You're wanted. Thank you.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, it's pre-med
Oh.
classes. Yeah, in LNS. Yeah.
I believe they are, because most of them are MCB. So I didn't pick MCB as a major only because I wanted to raise my GPA, and I think I graduated with a 4.0 science GPA. I chose integrated biology because the classes in integrated biology are slightly easier than MCB courses. However, even if you declare integrated biology as your major, you will still have to take some classes in like LNS in general or in MCB. So, like for example, biochem is a big requirement. That's called MCB 102. So you'll have to still take some of those courses. But ultimately, once you get to the upper division courses, those are more like major specific. So all of my upper division courses were integrated biology, and those I think were actually quite a little bit easier than what I did for prereqs.
Okay. There are pre-med. Do you have to come in and decide that it's a pre-med track? Like, do you have to plan out from like freshman year, Liz? I think that's another question. Mhm.
I don't, unless it's changed, no. All you do is declare, they don't have a formal pre-med track at UC Berkeley. Some schools do, UC Berkeley doesn't. You just declare like whatever you want. And honestly, your major doesn't matter for medical school. What they care about is you taking the prerequisites or not. So you can declare whatever major you want. But they will calculate a science GPA. So no matter what you do, like you do have to take those science classes.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Liz. And then for MET, Aurelia, there are some activities like, I know it's like a 1% at the mid-rate for MET. So parents are asking what kind of key activities you did. Like,
Yeah, so I actually went to a specialized math and computer science boarding school, which I think really helped because I was able to get my hands on some research as a high school student. So that was definitely one factor in it. I think in general, like I said, the leadership, I was involved with like our they really care about leadership because what they're looking for, MET specifically, is like entrepreneurship with like a focus in computer science and business. So I definitely did a lot of leadership. And for those like specific key areas, I did the CS research. I did a lot of mentoring for high school students, which also like ties into the that aspect. I did like hackathons, just and also some side projects on my own. And for business, that was my school had a business organization, so I was really involved with that, like participating in their events and like doing Shark Tank with them. I also did DECA as a student. I think DECA is a really great organization to be involved in if you want to go into the business aspect.
wow, you're capable. That's a lot of work. Thank you, thank you. Now go back to Liz. Everybody wanted to go to pre-med now, and the question is recommend. Would you recommend finding a physician mentor? Go ahead, Liz.
I actually didn't have a physician mentor, and nobody in my family is a physician. Actually, everybody in my family does computer science. So I didn't have like any guidance whatsoever. I think it can be helpful. Like I don't see why not. Like the thing about having a physician mentor is that unless there's somebody who's like more of a resident or somebody who recently went through the process, they might not know as much about somebody who is a medical student who went through the process much more recently. So like it can be helpful, but like also you can just connect with a medical student, like who's like more than happy to advise. Like for example, I'm listed as a student ambassador on Duke Medical School's like website, and you're like welcome to reach out to me or to any of the other student ambassadors, and I think they're quite happy to answer questions. And we went through the process relatively recently. And like, but I think the value of having a physician mentor is they can tell you what the career is like. And like I think that's important to decide whether that's like medicine is truly something you want to pursue or not.
Okay, that's great. Okay, one last question, and then we'll be done. About in College of Engineering, transfer to EECS if you're not admitted to EECS major. Does any of you have the answer? Aurelia or Liam, do you guys know? If you're not ECS major.
College.
A College of Engineering.
Oh, not sure.
Yeah, so I think I can speak a bit on this. It's definitely a lot easier to transfer within the College of Engineering compared to from outside. My friend transferred, she's in MET as well, and she wanted to go to EECS from bioengineering, and her process was very smooth. She just had to maintain a 3.3 GPA in just one semester, taking 2 technical units that related to EECS. So I think she took like EECS 16A and CS 61A, and then she was able to transfer that next semester. But also you can't transfer immediately. I think you have to be within your major for 1 semester. So if you're an incoming freshman right now, you'd have to like go through your major, maintain a good GPA right now, and then talk to your advisor about switching into EECS. Oh, and also one more thing, I think they have like some restriction where if you switch to like another major like BioE to like IOR, I don't think you can switch into EECS or something like that. Like EECS has to be like your first choice because it's a very highly impacted major. But like definitely check the website for that. There's some restriction.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, we're 10 minutes over, 12 minutes over. Thank you so much, all the panel speakers and all the parents and students on the call. And thank you again. If you guys like it, give us a good Google review and have a great night. Okay. And hopefully I'll see all the panel speakers in person. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great night.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you,
bye.
Dan, for hosting and
Yeah.
inviting all of us.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yes,
Alex.
thank
I'll
you
see you
so
guys.
much.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. And thanks, Liz. Bye-bye.
Thank you, all the speakers.
Yeah. Thank you, Liz. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.